Well, welcome back to the channel. Um, what a game over the weekend, and the pinnacle or the climax of the Six Nations tournament this year. And it didn't disappoint. It was a hell of a game. England put up a great performance to test the Irish, to test their resolve, and the Irish came through. And it's historic. What a day for Irish fans, Irish supporters. It's been a long time in the making. And yeah, just congratulations. I hope the Irish public and Irish rugby supporters are enjoying today. I've pint of the black stuff for me, or you know what I mean, and celebrate it, because these days don't come around very often. And it was one of those days. Sexton getting the record as well for top point scorer, beating his buddy Ronan O'Gara. It was a very sentimental yet very exhilarating day. And yeah, just congratulations. Breathe it in, soak it up. Yeah, great. So anyway, let's get into the match and how it panned out on the day. England have been criticised for starting slowly, and they started really well in this game. I think even though Ireland were obviously fired up, the songs before the game, the anthems, they looked like they were in a focused mode. But yeah, England definitely got the better of the first part of the match, and Willis got an early turnover, and on that point Willis had a really good game. I think it was a watershed moment for him. The English media have been building him up, but I think he's had a pretty poor Six Nations. But he had a phenomenal game today, and hopefully that's a sign of bigger and better things for him to come in this England team. So he played really well, and he gets a turnover early on, and that was a sign. England were a nuisance at the breakdown. It was one of their weak points against France, and they cleaned it up immensely, and they were actually a threat to the breakdown. So, good on them for that. England turn up, and they look like they're there to play. It's no surprise their tactic. Farrell kicks the leather off it and tries to put them in good territorial position, and it works. England put pressure on Ireland, and Ireland don't fully look like they've woken up yet. They do. It takes them a while to actually adjust, and one of the big reasons why they do actually snap out of their malaise, as it were, is the back row. O'Mahony and Doris put a huge driving tackle in when England are attacking the Irish line, and that really kind of fires the Irish players up and kind of wakes them up. Before that, it was all England, and credit to England. I was hoping they would come out and play with a bit of pride, and they certainly did. So it's a good defence from Ireland, even though England are attacking, very well actually. And but Ireland do cough up the penalty, and Farrell has brought his kicking boots today. He borrowed his old man's boots, I think, and he slots over the penalty. So England draw first blood, and it's 3-0. One of my favourite things that happened in the early part of the game was Ireland get a penalty near England's line, and Sexton, I've never seen him do this before. He taps and goes himself. I think he was shaping to take a kick, but hadn't indicated to the referee that he was, and he taps it and goes, and he almost gets over. How good would it have been if he had got over? But he's so close, and he's held up, and his drop out from under the posts. But Sexton really wants this, and it's plain to see. And England stick to the game plan. They've actually got a game plan this time, and they kick for territory. Farrell is kicking well out of hand as well, and yeah, they put Ireland under pressure. Ireland cough up another penalty, and they're struggling a little bit at the breakdown. And Farrell kicks it again. That's 2 out of 2, and England are up 6-0. So it's a bit of a shock to the Irish, I think. But yeah, not what they expected. I think, and not what a lot of people expected from this England side. But you know, they've done well. They've turned up. So Ireland regather from the restart after that second penalty, which is a great skill to work on actually as a team. Often teams will switch off after they've just scored, so it's a great time to attack. And Ireland do just that. And Keenan, who had a great game again, unfortunately went off later on in the game. But he busts through the middle of the English defence, and England scramble and just about bring him down. And yeah, it's great play from Ireland, and now they actually woken up after Armani and Doris tackle, and they look like they're getting back in the game, and those attacking patterns are starting to flow, and it's looking a little bit dangerous. England defend their line well, and they win that battle actually, and Ireland don't get over that time. There's a bunch of penalties that Ireland have kicked for the corner earlier, but this time Sexton decides to go for the 3 points, and that penalty kicks, it gets the new record. He goes past O'Gara and gets a standing ovation, fully deserved. What a great servant Irish rugby has been. Such a competitor, and we've missed him on the Lions tour when he hasn't been there. Yeah, just a very stoic guy, and someone I think like a lot of kids could look up to. His competitiveness, his competitiveness, his athleticism, his commitment to his team and his teammates. I mean, you know, he's not a bad role model to have. So I hope he stays in and around rugby after this next World Cup ends. Hopefully with Ireland as the world champions. Well, Ireland's tactics weren't great in this first half. I mean, they were trying to spin it wide. I think they were trying to like play champagne rugby without doing the hard work a little bit. They got caught. They were guilty of doing that. England were not committing many men to the ruck and to the breakdown. They would have 1 or 2 competing very well. But Ireland really should have taken it up the guts, pick and go. You know, that's when a side is firing out, that's what you do to draw them in. And Ireland are usually so good at that, at like mixing and matching. You know, mixing it up in terms of like their attack. They will go very tight and then wide and then tight and wide. So teams don't know what to expect from them. They were a little bit predictable in the first half, and I think it played into England's hands a little bit, but still it was a very close game. And then Ireland get a line out in a pretty good position, and they run a set move, and Sheenan, who looks like a sprinter once he gets going, he gets an inside ball from Van der Fleer, and yeah, he just quick off the mark, very, very quick off the mark. And the acceleration, and he's just over the line before anyone knows what's happened. And Ireland get the first try of the match. Yeah, so they take the lead from that. So at 10-6, it's anyone's game really. Arundel, who was lauded as the next big thing, as so many of these England players are, without actually proving themselves. He gets a nice welcome to Test rugby. He gets ragdolled on the wing and thrown into touch, and yeah, I think it's a good lesson that club rugby and international rugby are very different arenas, and if you excel at club rugby, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to transition into the international arena and succeed. That's a lesson, a hard lesson that many players have learned, And I think England should remember that when they bigging up these players. It takes a lot to be a successful international. That's why people like Alan Wynne and Johnny Sexton especially are so highly esteemed, because they've managed to maintain that level of performance for such a long time. So that's just a little thing to remember. It's been a good battle in the scrums. The English front row is actually doing pretty well. It's pretty back and forth, but as halftime approaches, Sinclair gives away another soft penalty, and yeah, Ireland have managed to extend their lead a little bit just before the halftime whistle, and that's great for them. It's just what they needed, actually. They've had a lot of pressure, and they haven't really converted them into points, but they get a little bit of breathing room just before the halftime whistle. And just as they're going into the sheds, we have maybe the most controversial and impactful moment in the match. A player I bigged up quite a lot, and I still stand by that. But Freddie Stewart, he gets it all wrong and smacks Keenan in the head with his shoulder. There's no malice in it, there's no intent, but he's a big lump and he floors Keenan, and they put it on the slow-mo replay, and it looks terrible, let's be honest. And he gets a red card, and England have done really well so far to stay in this match and to test Ireland. And no one likes to see a match be decided, if you like, by cards, but I know there's going to be a lot of controversy about it, but I can't really argue with the decision. He should have just followed through with the tackle, even though the ball went on the floor. I mean, it was a mistake from Stewart, and the way the laws are now, it's on, if you make contact with someone's head like that, you are the responsible party. So he's turned his shoulder, he's got his knee up, and he smacks the guy straight in the head, like, I mean, I feel for Freddie Stewart, I mean, as people who follow my channel know, I'm a big fan of his, and I think he's been fantastic, through the autumn internationals and into the Six Nations. He's carried on his excellent form, but he gets it wrong. He messed up. He should have just gone in with the shoulder, made the tackle, even if he'd given away a penalty for the guy not having a ball. It would have been better than him getting red carded in such a big game. And I thought he was going to break down and cry, actually. He's that honest of a player, but these things happen. I think the referee could have let it go, but it would have kind of compromised the whole idea of the law or the rule that they've implemented. So I can't see any other option that the ref had. I mean, to be honest, it's tragic, but that's sport for you, right? You play by the rules. If you mess up, you get punished for it. And he messed up. So England now down to 14 men, and that's it. Boom, halftime. So Jack Willis continues his fantastic performance in the second half. He's on something like 20 odd tackles already, and the game is not even 3/4 of the way done. He's actually putting in a phenomenal shift, and was really impressed by his performance overall. Very busy, and yet a lot more energy. And whatever Borthwick did in the week is certainly fired up this pack, and they're not the same team that played France last week. Scrum time is going England's way, to be honest, and Genge gets penalty. England slotted over, or Farrell slots it over, and it's 10-9, so all to play for, just 1 point in it. So slow ball for Ireland, and England are doing a really good job of slowing the ruck speed down. I mean, Ireland are famous for having really good ruck speed, and they play off the back of that, and it's kind of the key or the core of the game. And England have done a fantastic job this game of slowing that right down. And Gibson Park is, he always looks good. He's a quality player, but even he can't kind of speed up that ball coming out. And England are making inroads because of it. They put in Ireland under more pressure. They line speed, and in defence they're rushing up very quickly. And Ireland are struggling a little bit at this point. And even England with 14 men, it's anyone's game. So even me, as I'm Welsh, so I'm not an Irish supporter, but I'm feeling a bit nervous at this point. And Farrell, let's be honest, Farrell did a great captain's job today, and I think that's it now. The question marks over who is outside half, who's captain. It's Farrell. All right, that's it. I don't want to see anyone start as 10 except Farrell unless he's injured. He's the captain because England played much better. They had that guts and commitment that they just didn't have last week. And it's exemplified by a little spat that he had with one of the Irish players. Who was it? Oh, it was Porter, I think. And that's exactly what the captain should do. If he knows that he's got to motivate his team, just pick a fight with somebody. It's one of the oldest tricks in the book, right? And he gets into it with the Irish team. And you can see England really benefiting from that psychological kind of motivation that Farrell is providing them through his niggle. And but that's the kind of guy he is. And you, as a player, you got to appreciate people like that, because they'll take it on their shoulders, to motivate you. When he feels the energy is dropping, okay, who am I gonna nail now? Who am I gonna wind up? So again, Alan Wynne is a perfect example of that. Not everyone's cup of tea, but these players are there for a reason on a rugby pitch. And I think England responded very well. Ireland get a nice bit of territory and work their way down to the England line, and there's a huge scrum 5 meters out from the England line. And Bundy Aki gets the ball. He's fired up for this one, and he's been playing very well. And a nice delayed pass, and the man who came in to replace Ringrose, Henshaw, gets over for a try. So that's 2 tries now that Ireland have got, and it's the releasing the steam, releasing the pressure. And Ireland, every time they scored, looked more relaxed. I kind of think maybe that let them down a little bit. They should have really gone for points and kept the scoreboard ticking over more in the first half, because they looked like more as the game went on that they were feeling the pressure. So just releasing the valve a little bit, the 3 points, that's going to help your teams, particularly when they, as man for man, they're better than England. But so that try was like a big turning point in the game, I think. Obviously the sending off was, but you could just feel everyone exhale in the stadium and back to business. At that point, it's 17-9, and the Ireland's growing confidence is exemplified in the fact that they start running the ball out of their own 22, and it's great to see. And the ball doesn't always stick today, go to hand, but that's the way that Ireland have got to where they are, is by throwing caution to the wind at times, in a controlled manner. And I think they start to find their feet more and more as the game went on. I mean, it's always going to be difficult when to analyze a match when it's 15 versus 14. But I think there was so much pressure. I think Ireland really felt the pressure in this match, and it's going to do them good, to play in such a huge game. I mean, this squad has played in big games, The third test match in New Zealand was a huge game, and they've come through it, and they came through this game today as well. So Ireland have worked, and Gibson Park loves attacking the blind side of the short side, whatever you want to say. And yeah, Sheenan gets, who ended up being man of the match, gets his second try. The little sprinter, the number 2 sprinter. Yeah, so it's looking like it's in the bag at the moment. Ireland got a few tries in front now, and the score is building up. So how are England going to respond? They respond well. They work it through the tight, and Jamie George gets a nice try from a maul. They push over and get a try, so they're still in the game. It's still there for them. It's a big ask, but fair play to England. I mean, after the travesty that was the biggest home defeat ever there at Twickenham against the French last week, you've got to give them a lot of respect. The players, especially, not necessarily the English rugby union and etc., all the politics, but as men, they definitely came to Ireland and stepped up. And after watching their performance today, I've got a lot of respect for them, as players. Some players I still don't think cut the mustard, but yeah, England team can definitely hold their heads high. And as the fields of Athenry ring out around the stadium, it seems like a done deal, but there's a little bit of a scare. Sexton's leg plays up again, and this one doesn't look like a dead one. He looks like he's pulled something, but yeah, he goes off, and Sexton refused to be helped off the field. He hobbled off all by himself, and that says it all. His last Six Nations game. Wow, what a career, man, and I think Darcy, was commentating, and he was saying, like, they never talk about it publicly, but this Irish squad, they're doing a lot of the things they're doing, the level of commitment and competitiveness, a lot of it stems from them playing for their captain, which is Johnny Sexton. So it just makes you realize and understand, you cannot underestimate the power and the influence that a great captain can have on your squad. And I think that's evident with Farrell's presence today for England and Sexton's presence over the last couple of years. So that's just, him walking off like that in his last game and insisting that he does so is kind of the character that you want to see in your players. So that was great. Jack Willis, who's had such a great game, he gets a yellow card for a tip tackle, and it's fair enough. I wouldn't argue with it. I think he got done because he didn't put the player down. You have to, again, take responsibility for the other player's welfare, which is weird. If you played like I have, and like so many others, I'm sure, who are watching this channel back in the day, in the tackle, your responsibility was to hurt the other guy, right? So to have it switched up to say, well, you're responsible for his welfare is kind of counterintuitive, but I mean, I understand it, yeah, so he tips him, lets him go, and he gets a yellow card. So I'm glad it was only a yellow, nothing, didn't deserve anything more. And yeah, and icing on the cake, Ireland get a late try, and seal the deal, and everyone's coming down to the pitch ready to storm on when the final whistle blows. And yeah, I mean, what a game. What a historic moment for Irish rugby. I think it was expected. England played out of their skins and gave Ireland a real test. The red card obviously was controversial, but I, for one, am glad this Ireland side have checked another box, and I feel like they've got a couple of more boxes that they want to check, particularly Sexton, before he calls it a day. And this one, they can mark it off the list. It's done. First Grand Slam, won at home, St. Patrick's Day weekend against the old enemy. Yeah, so great game. Ireland could have played better, but England showed up, so it's great for rugby. very competitive. All the old heads had a big influence in the game, and yeah, I just, this is what rugby is all about. The last game of the Six Nations tournament, and it's a cracker, controversy, tries, and yeah, pints of Guinness. So congratulations to Ireland. Enjoy yourselves, boys. All right, nice one. I'll see you later. If you've made it this far, thank you very much. Please like and subscribe. Share as well. I don't know how to do that, but I'm sure you could work it out. And yeah, I'll see you for the next review. Thank you very much. Goodbye.